something that I've been thinking about since Ramadan is that many a times people leave the month of Ramadan and they find themselves in a bit of a what has recently been dubbed the Ramadan blues or the post-Ramadan blues. And I think this inevitably comes from a surge of spiritual energy that is suddenly left with a gaping vacuum, because we go from super levels of ibadat to practically not zero but down to very low numbers. And this is why the Sunnah teaches us many beautiful things. I'd like to share some of that very briefly. And the one is, don't go down to zero. And then number two is, don't have unrealistic expectations of oneself. And then number three is, set minimalist goals. So don't go down to zero means don't go from fasting every day to not fasting at all. This is why one of the reasons we have these 6 days of Shawwal. Intend to fast if you haven't already done so, the 6 days of Shawwal, and if not consecutively, of course, by now it cannot be consecutive if you haven't begun. So then at least Mondays and Thursdays, or whatever you are comfortable with, inshallah. Similarly, with Taraweeh, to go from 20 raka'at or whichever number you've performed in Ramadan to 0 raka'at would be, like the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تكونوا مثل فلان. Don't be like so-and-so. كان يقوم الليل فترك قيام الليل. Don't be like so-and-so. He used to pray at night and then he discarded and abandoned the praying at night. So we should try to do something. And if it is difficult for us to wake up before Fajr or to pray Tahajjud, then for the very least we should pray some extra raka'at immediately after Isha before we proceed to retire for the night. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And then, in addition to that, we can also look at not going to zero as far as recitation of the Quran is concerned. It would be a tragedy to discard the Quran. Remember the words of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the year after, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will say to Allah, that inna qawmi, that indeed my people, ittakhadhu, they have taken hadha al-Qur'ana, this Quran, mahjura, and abandoned it. Wal-iyadhu billah. Allah protect us. May Allah preserve us and keep us on the sirat al-mustaqim.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.